right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and it's already into the month of April. And one of the things we've missed this year is our barrel tastings. Usually we do one with Louis Jadot and one with Bouchard, Pere, and I don't know what happened. And I don't know if we're going to do one with Jadot, but the Bouchard wines, well, we got a barrel tasting, private barrel tasting from our rep Kimberly from Henriot. And let me tell you, these 2013s, definitely another exciting vintage in Burgundy. Lovely richness to these wines, lovely balance. The only problem is it was a small crop, and the intensity level, though, in these wines off the charts. And well, the only bad news is the price is probably going to go up, even though the dollar is very strong. Its strongest point in 10 years. I think you're still going to see the prices go up because of the demand for Burgundy still continuing to go up around the world. And like I said, the supply again in 2013 dramatically reduced by hail in several villages. We started out with the reds, and in Burgundy you can do that because the whites have got such great acidity. And of course we're talking Pinot Noir, the Chambolle-Musigny, one of my favorite village wines. And this wine spends, well, they got a lot of new oak, which means it was a really robust vintage, 40%. They went up, actually, in their level of oak treatment in 2013. This wine's got a beautiful bouquet, raspberry and strawberry fruit, pretty floral notes, exotic spices, smooth and silky texture on the tongue, though. This wine's got beautiful purity of fruit here, that spice, that lovely freshness, and a lot of perfume here on the finish. Chambolle-Musigny may be a little light in terms of, its overall structure, but has a lot of nuance. One of the things I love about it. This for a village wine, an excellent example. All right, then the oldest vineyard, the first vineyard that Bouchard purchased, actually, one of the top premier crus in Volnay. And this is it's a lot of dark fruit, a little bit of a vegetal note to this wine coming out. Also, it spends 10 to 18 months and 60% new barrels. Wow, a lot of new oak in this wine. Good amount of exotic spice and raw steak and rose petal notes there. Big and chewy on the tongue. This wine's got some tannins here. A little bit of that vegetal note on the finish, but a slew of spices as well and a lot of fruit. Most excellent juice. This wine, really good. One of the best Cuvée Anciens that I've had from Bouchard. The Bone Grabs, the Baby Jesus wine, one of my favorites. This wine, a lot of nuance, a lot of lovely wild strawberry, raspberry, coulis, fruit, exotic spices, a gravelly, earthy note. The premier crus of Beaune, some of the greatest values. Well, this is Grand Cru level to me. I've had wines going all the way back to the 40s from this vineyard and still incredible. This wine's got a load of that exotic spice and floral notes on the finish. Velvety, silky, smooth texture and a long, complex finish. This wine needs time but has everything in proportion. Most excellent juice. The Nuit Saint George, the last of the reds, and this is these wines are usually big. This is all domain fruit. These guys are the largest owners of premier and Grand Cru vineyards in all of Burgundy. And this one's got beautiful red cherry and dark wild strawberry fruit, lots of perfume, dark spices, some truffly, earthy notes, a big and chewy wine on the tongue. This wine's got some tannins here and dark spice and coffee notes at the end. Excellent juice. It needs a little bit of time, like these wines all do. I don't know if these are even finished products. 2013's a few months away from being released. The Le Courton, the Grand Cru, this wine always a bit more reserved. These wines, a little bit of a gravelly, minerally note to the exotic spices and cranberry-like fruits. This wine's got a nice hand of acidity, though, and a little bit tightly wound, though. Courtons always need a little bit more time to me, even better on the second day, which is a great indication, but everything in proportion here also. Most excellent juice. And then on to the whites. We start out with a little Meursault Le Clou, which is a Lieu-dit, which just means it's a named vineyard, and Bouchard owns about a fifth of this cru. And a good amount of tree fruit here, green apple, lemon drop candy, white flowers, a touch of butter toast, smooth and creamy on the tongue, a good amount of bright acidity, lovely fat round fruit here, lovely balance and richness in these 2013s. Excellent juice. Polini Montrachet, got a lot of limestone and clay soils here, and this wine reflects that minerality, always a little more austere to me, a little bit of flinty, gravelly notes, some lemon, citrus, and pear. This wine's got a good amount of tree fruit on the tongue, though, and a firm hand of acidity, that lovely minerality in Polini Montrachet. And these wines are well built. Like I said, Polini to me always needs a few years, not nearly as showy as Meursault or Chassagne. The Meursault Geneviève, one of the top premier crus. This wine's got a load of that flinty, gravelly, minerally notes, some bright lemon and apple fruit, really lovely nuance, some fresh brioche, nice touch of oak, that cinnamon, that vanilla bean spice there, thick and viscous on the tongue. This wine's got layers of that bright citrus and tree fruit and a long, firm hand of acidity, holding everything together on the finish. Most excellent juice, but this wine needs time. Like the great premier Grand Crus like Courtal Charlemagne, which this one a little bit tightly wound on the first day, and the second day really opened up nicely. A little hints of pine in here, some white peach, apple, lemon drop candy. This is the largest Grand Cru for whites. They own 3.65 hectares here, and use only 20% new oak in this wine. So this wine's got a lovely, rich and decadent texture on the tongue, though that chalky, minerally note showing all the way to the finish. Very long and layered, lovely creamy richness to this wine, but lovely acidity here. This wine, most excellent juice, but needs time. Then up to Chablis, to William Fevre. William Fevre, now one of the hottest properties in Chablis. And the Mont Man, come on, man. Premier Cru, our first producer, they were the first producer to pick in 2013, and one of our favorite houses in Chablis. Like I said, they don't use a lot of new oak. They use old oak from Bouchard. And this wine's got that classic seashell minerality, lime citrus, green apples, white flowers. Really nice richness on the tongue, that tongue-tingly, zesty minerality. You get that chalky seashell note all the way through the finish. Excellent juice. The Valorant is the premier cru right next to Le Prusse, which is a Grand Cru, and lovely pronounced chalky seashell minerality to this wine. That bright, fresh lime, green apple, a bit austere, but this wine showing wonderful freshness, a nice zest to the finish, that lime citrus and that chalky seashell minerality all the way through to the end. The Le Clos, very intense. This wine needs a little bit of time. Kind of bright lime blossoms, stony, briny, minerally notes there. Thick and viscous on the tongue. This wine really needs a day to open up. Le Clos, the largest of the Grand Crus and the most famous. Very clean, very tightly wound. This wine's got a wonderful savoriness to the finish. Most excellent juice. And we don't have any prices on this sheet here, but I can tell you by the time we get this review out, we'll have all the prices on all these wines and all the other 2013 wines from William Fevre and Bouchard Period Feast that are on the pre-sale, so check it out. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.